Hey guys, Pete here. It's going to be my Things You Might Have Missed video for Twin Peaks Season 3, Part 16. No knock, no doorbell. I didn't exactly number them the same way because a couple of them are connected, so I'm just going to run through the list that I put together. There's quite a few interesting things that popped up here, and just a quick spoiler warning, if you haven't watched this episode yet, if you're not caught up with Twin Peaks Season 3 through Part 16, you're going to want to stop watching. So the first thing that came to mind when I was rewatching is that we've never seen the original Diane. Now this caused a little bit of confusion for me because in the beginning when we met Diane, it was a big surprise and we thought that, she was a little bit different than a lot of us thought she would have been. Then we found out for sure in this episode that she was a Tulpa. So, my original thought was, hey, is she like Evil Coop? Evil Coop's a doppelganger from what we know. I don't know if those two things are the same. I mean, by definition, they're not exactly. But obviously, Agent Cooper's doppelganger is Evil Coop, and he has his own characteristics that make him different. His intention is different than our beloved Dale Cooper, who came back in this last episode. So I was thinking that, Diane might be a completely different person. While it might still look like Laura Dern, she may have a personality that we expect. And this Tulpa version that we met with this strange wig and all of that stuff may actually just be like the Evil Coop version of Diane. I don't really know for sure though because it's not clear if Tulpas and doppelgangers operate in the same way, so I'll just leave that question for you guys. While we're talking about Tulpas, we might as well get into this little bit of hair that Cooper gave to Mike. Now, a lot of people have thrown the idea out there that the reason that he did this was because he wants to make a replacement for Dougie Jones, a copy of himself that he can send to go live with Janie E. and Sonny Jim. On the surface, that seems possible. There's also been an equal amount of people that have said that they really hope that's not the case because they want to see the original Dale Cooper go and live with those two. What we saw was he asked Mike if he had the seed that came out of Dougie Jones whenever he was brought back into the Red Room. Mike shows it to him, and then he pulls out some hair, and he gives it to him and says he needs another one. So it would make you think that he wants another copy. Would that copy be the same as him, or would it be like Dougie Jones? We don't really have any clue about how that works. From what we saw, Dougie was different than both Evil Coop and Agent Cooper. He had shared characteristics, like he was played by Kyle MacLachlan, but pretty much everything else was different and unique. So that's another one. You guys tell me what you think. I mean, it's also not 100% sure that that's what he was doing. He did tell Sonny, Jim, and Janie E. he would come back, and that's where the idea comes from. But it could be something else altogether. We can't really just get stuck in that until we know more about it. The thing that's been bothering me since I started making this video, well, one of the things, there's a lot of that I don't really understand here that I hope becomes clear in the next episode. But when Richard and Evil Coop are talking, Evil Coop tells him he has 3 sets of coordinates, 2 of which are the same. Of course, we see that Richard gets trapped. He falls into the trap whenever he goes up to the coordinates that we assume were the fake ones. So I started thinking about that, and we know that Philip Jeffries gave him coordinates, and we know that Ray gave him coordinates. But we never really actually saw Diane give him coordinates until after she got the emoticon all message after Richard dies. Now, I checked her coordinates because we could see them. She put them all in there. Those are the same ones that are on Ruth Davenport's arm. So that should be the correct coordinates to Twin Peaks because we saw her punch that into the GPS. But we never actually saw her send him coordinates. Unless I'm forgetting because it's getting to the point where there's a lot of stuff to remember. But obviously Ray's coordinates would likely be wrong because he was working for Philip Jeffries and they would match the ones Philip Jeffries gave him. So that's 2 sets of bad coordinates. But where would he have gotten the third is a mystery to me. So anyways, that's that. Let's just move on because there's a big rabbit hole there if I keep thinking about it. The next thing was that you probably saw this, but when Agent Cooper's leaving the hospital, first he has Bushnell call the Mitchum brothers, But then he gives him a note, and I think this is really weird. He tells him if Gordon Cole shows up, give him this note. And I don't understand why he would do that. Like, he knows Bushnell has a phone and can use it. I know Coop's been asleep for 25 years, and he's not really, he didn't use cell phones back then and everything else. But, like, why would he give him a piece of paper instead of contacting the FBI directly? More than that, he's around people like his wife, and then he's with the Mitchums. Like, he could definitely get in touch with Gordon if he wants to. So I don't know. I don't know what it means at all, but it seems kind of weird to me. So I thought I'd bring it up. The next thing you might have missed was that the doctor who was taking care of Agent Cooper in the hospital is a familiar face that we've seen before. In the credits, she's just credited as the female doctor, and she was played by the actress Bellina Logan. You might remember her because in the original run, she was the desk clerk at the Great Northern. And you see these two side-by-side pictures, and you can see that it is definitely the same actress. Does it mean anything? Probably not. You know, she was in other David Lynch projects, so you know what I mean? He's someone that he knows. And they snuck her in there for a cameo. The next thing you might have missed was that the sound that Bushnell heard whenever Mike was coming, and, you know, he kind of got distracted from the room so that Mike could talk to Agent Cooper, was the same sound that you can hear in the Great Northern and that James heard down in the basement of the Great Northern. Now, people have called this a Tibetan singing bowl sound. I've never listened to it cleaned up or anything like that. It just always sounds like a low hum. But from what I could tell and what I've seen other people say, it is actually the same sound. So that may give us a little bit more to think about in relation to the Great Northern. What exactly, I don't know what to tell you, but what it reminds me of is the fact that James walked right up to that door, was standing there, and then we never saw anything else about whether he opened it or not. So that is still out there hanging. The next thing you might have missed was the guy who got into the shootout with Chantal and Hutch was credited as Polish accountant in the credits. I had some people say that they thought there was more to him, and I really don't think so. I think it's kind of just a plot device. They needed something out of the blue to take care of these two so that they wouldn't be a problem for Agent Cooper once he woke up. But either way, he is called the Polish accountant, and I saw in Alexandra von Eckstein's article, she wrote that this is not the first accountant we've seen, and basically, what's up with the accountants, you know what I mean? We saw the farm after Evil Coop wins the arm wrestling match, and he's sitting there getting ready to kill Ray. We see this sort of meekish guy there who's known as the farm accountant. He asks him if he wants any money, and then in the very beginning of the series, our first shot at the Twin Peaks Sheriff's Department, there was a guy who was credited as an accountant insurance agent who came looking for Sheriff Truman, and we got that's where we found out that Harry was actually sick. So is it just a weird thing that they like to use or what? I don't know, but it's kind of funny when you think about it because the guy could have been anything. I mean, he was in a dispute over an inch of his driveway being blocked. He could have been named anything for sure, but they chose to call him the Polish accountant. So it's interesting, even though there's nothing that I can really tell you better about it. And the last major thing that you might have missed, I know I did, I saw this a couple places afterwards. After Audrey does her dance and we see her wake up or we see her look in the mirror in the white room, it goes back to the Roadhouse where the music is continuing to play all the way through the credits. Only this time it's actually playing backwards. So the song doesn't change. We see a shot of the band as they're playing, but it's actually played in reverse. When I watched it, I thought something seemed off, but then I just thought it was maybe a really cool shot because of the way that it was set up or something like that. But it turns out that it's been confirmed that it is backwards. And what that means is another mystery. So yeah, this was a awesome episode, part 16. I said at the beginning of my top moments video that not much happened. What I meant was that there aren't that many stories going wild, like, you know, and if we think about like some of the other big ones like episode 7 or episode 11, some of these ones that were big roller coaster rides, there were so many different stories that we're getting bouncing back and forth from. Now we're really down to the main movement into the final chapter. The Tulpa thing is interesting. I do hope we find out more about that. Something people have brought up that I've seen posted around in different places is that Diane says that she's in the sheriff's department, and this makes people think that she is Nido, which is kind of like, well, the other thing everybody thinks is Nido is maybe Judy. Both of these are, I can see where people are coming from, but I don't think we have enough information to really go from that. I mean, we know that according to the story, Diane was taken to what sounds like the convenience store. And obviously a duplicate was made at some point. How that equates to the original being a Japanese woman with no eyes, I don't really know. I'm not saying it isn't possible. I'm just saying that the only real connection there is that NATO came from the other side and is now at the sheriff's station. On the other hand, the fact that people think she's Judy kind of goes back to the idea that Judy is Josie's half-sister. That's not a really strong case for that either. I think we will figure out what's going on with Nido for sure. I was thinking earlier, do you really want this to be like 2 episodes of Twin Peaks, The Return, or are you hoping for like a 2-hour movie set up kind of like Firewalk with Me? I think it's always been the intention to show these 2 episodes back to back as the finale, so I'm hoping it's more of a 2-hour-long story, but we'll see what happens. I did put out a video yesterday just posing the question of what your 3 biggest questions you'd like to see answered in the finale are. You should check that out and put your comments there. I'm planning a preview of sorts video on Saturday, so I'll be looking over all those and talking about what I want to see done and what I want to get answers to. It's really hard to do. And I can't believe it's actually here. The finale's actually here. Like, I've never been so excited and so disappointed at the same time. Like, I can't wait to see what happens, but I'm gonna miss this show when it's gone for sure. So give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Turn on notifications so you'll get my new videos as soon as they come out. I hope you guys will stick around with me after Twin Peaks wraps up, but I will be doing quite a few things between now and then. Make sure you follow me on Twitter so you can interact with me there and on my other social media accounts. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll talk to you soon.